2026 is anointed to fill those gaps. It's the kind of year where if you go back and harvest things that didn't fully happen and you try them in 2026, they will give birth. It is not God's will that the nation breaks in pieces. He that hath ears, let him hear.
All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we are breaking down the prophetic message for the year 2026 from Pastor PJT Bakare. We're going to look at the key predictions for nations, the world, and for you as an individual, all based on this specific message series. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, what's the big idea here? According to the message, 2026 isn't about looking for some brand new thing from the sky. It's called a consolidation year. The whole point is to go back to promises and prophecies that you've heard before, the ones that haven't happened yet, and to actively fight for them. It's about filling in the gaps, not chasing the next new shiny thing. Okay, first up, let's look at the prophecies specifically for the nation of Nigeria. The message covers everything from the economy to politics and what's ahead. Now, when it comes to the economy, this is where it gets really interesting. The message predicts that major investors who left the country are actually going to come back. It also points to Nigeria becoming a leader in the digital money space for all of Africa. We're talking crypto and e-money. Plus, there's this idea of a big push to control Africa's own data, moving away from foreign influence. And then there's this really unusual prediction, a wave of Nigerian talent going to China, but not to stay, to learn specific skills and bring them back home. Wow, okay. This next one is, well, it's incredibly direct. There's a very specific political prophecy in the message from Pastor Bakare. It says the Nigerian president is under divine protection, described as unkillable, and that he will not be killed in office in 2026 or 2027 and will finish his term. So, what about the country's overall stability? The message touches on a few big things. It mentions a rattling from what it calls the Biafran world, but says it'll fizzle out because of its own internal conflicts. Then you've got this major heads up about agriculture. The years 2026 to 2030 are called green years, a crucial time to plant and store up food, because a global drought is predicted for 2031. And finally, a really powerful political statement that the key to winning the next election rests with the women of Nigeria. All right, let's zoom out from Nigeria now and take a look at the prophecies that are on a global scale. These are the ones that affect the entire world. Get ready for this one. According to this message, we're talking about a massive financial shift. In 2026, the world is predicted to see its first 4 trillionaires emerge. The message describes it as moving from the billion floor to the trillion table. That's a huge leap. And this is a really sobering one, a stark warning about the environment. The message paints a picture of many rivers and streams literally drying up all over the globe. And what happens then? Well, it could lead to serious conflicts over that precious resource, conflicts that are bluntly described as water wars. And the global challenges don't stop there. We're talking about some major shakeups. First, you have this wild weather prediction. Like experiencing all 4 seasons in a single month, which the message links to a cosmic war happening in the spiritual realm. On top of that, a big warning about cybercrime. 2026 will supposedly see the biggest cybercrimes of the entire decade. We're also told that many governments around the world will actually fall before their terms are up. And economically, look for an early push towards a single unified currency for Africa. Now, there's a very specific message here, and it is aimed squarely at Europe. It's a really powerful warning to stop what it calls planning the virus war and playing with genome structures. The message is blunt. Stop it. Because if these efforts continue, they're going to backfire big time. Okay, so from the global stage, the message now zooms in on the church, and it comes with some very important warnings and prophecies for believers everywhere. All right, this is a really key part of the message. There's a warning about a primary spiritual threat, which is called the Python spirit. And look, this isn't some vague, spooky idea. It's defined by 3 very specific actions: manipulation, rebellion against authority, and domination. So where are we supposed to look out for this? Well, according to the message, it's going to show up in some surprising places. First, right in church leadership, what it calls the pulpit. Second, through online personalities or jesters who use sacred things for laughs. And finally, it gets really personal, showing up in our relationships through things like gossip, jealousy, and just general strife. And this point about making fun of sacred things, it comes with a very strong warning. The message from Pastor Bakare is basically saying that for those who mock or turn holy things into a joke, especially online, 2026 is a year where there will be serious, direct consequences.
But hey, it's not all warnings and gloom. On the flip side, the message predicts some really incredible positive movements in the church. First, the voice of the underground church in China, which has been silent for a long time, will be heard again. Then, something truly unprecedented, a massive turn to Christianity within a nation that is currently fully Islamic. And finally, for anyone who loves worship music, get ready for a deluge of new songs that will be the sign that revivals are coming.
Okay, so we've covered nations, the world, the church, but what does this all mean for you, for us as individuals? Let's break down the personal guidance for navigating the year 2026.
Now, this is a really cool and unique idea. The message says that 2026 has many Januaries. So what does that even mean? Well, it means you don't just get one shot at a new beginning on January 1st. The whole year is filled with multiple chances to start over.
And this is how it works in practice. It's super simple. You start something. If it fails, and things do fail, right? You don't throw in the towel. Nope. The instruction is to reroute, find another path, and you start again. The whole point of having many Januaries is that you have permission to try and try again. So what's the biggest takeaway? Just don't quit. And to wrap up the personal guidance, here are 3 really practical directives. First, a spiritual one. Pray over any new person who joins your home or business, whether it's a driver, a nanny, or a new employee. Second, a super practical one. Prioritize getting insurances. The message stresses this. And third, some advice on your spiritual home. Don't be a church hopper. The encouragement is to stay put and grow where you're planted. So there you have it. We've gone from Nigeria to the whole world, from warnings for the church to practical advice for our own lives. And you know, it all ties back to that central idea we started with. 2026 is a consolidation year, a time to rebuild, to revisit, and to not give up. But the most powerful takeaway, the thought that kind of hangs over everything else, is this one. The mightiest people of the year won't be made by their own strength or skill. They will be made by mercy. And the final piece of advice? Cry out for it every single day.